And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hi, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm talking about the fourth expansion for Alhambra. Now, the expansions I'm talking about come from the big box version, which comes with the original game and all 5 expansions, but you might have already bought Alhambra and you just are looking at the fourth expansion. Is it worth getting? Well, it comes with 4 different modules, which can be mixed or matched with all the modules in the other ones. I'm going to talk about each of those 4 modules and give it a ranking of the 20 different modules available in the expansions of what I think of it, and just comparisons. One of the interesting things is even when you mix in these different modules into the game, they're very easy to get back out. The cards are usually very easily distinguished, the tiles that are added and things, and it's just an easy way to separate, especially with the nice storage system that comes in the big box. Let's get on to the modules. The first module in Expansion 4 is the Treasure Chamber. All the treasure chests are taken, and you can see there's various colors that match the different rooms, buildings that can be built in Alhambra, and are put into a black bag. And then a treasure chest chamber is put somewhere on a table. And in each of these chambers, we put 4 random treasure chests, and then the game begins. On your turn, if you want to, for one of your actions, instead of doing something else, you can simply pay 8 currency of any combination to take 4 of these treasure chests. Of course, you have to take the 4 from any one of the room. So let's say I buy these 2 reds and the 2 purples. Then we go to my Alhambra in my city, and we look. I just bought 2 reds and 2 purples. Well, this building's a red, so I can put 1 there. And the 2 purples, I can put 1 here and 1 here. There's nothing I can do with the final red one, so I would discard that. Now, if I had been looking at these correctly, it probably would have been better for me to have bought this set because I have a white, a green, a red, and a purple, and I'm able to get all 4 of those out. Now, each building can only have 1 treasure chest, and once a building has a treasure chest, there's really no point to its color anymore, because you're simply counting whoever has the most treasure chests. And you can see in each of the scoring round, whoever has treasure chests, the most treasure chests, will get points. First round, whoever has the most gets 7, then 14 and 7, then 22, 14 and 7. And this is an interesting way to force people to add variety, to get a whole bunch of the spectrum of colors of buildings in their area, and to build many buildings. I like the treasure chest. It adds a lot to the game without making it too complicated, and it just looks cool. The second module in Expansion 4 is the Master Builders. Each of these are Master Builder cards, which will be, some are given to the players and others are added to the deck. They're all the number 3, and they can be used as currency of that color, or when you get one of them, you can play it to take an extra realignment action where you're basically adding something in or taking something out. Basically, you can redesign your Alhambra, add an extra tile to it, take an extra tile out, switch a tile, and it lets you do that for free. So it's an interesting idea. I like having all the extra 3s in the deck. That's a pretty neat thing in of itself. And having cards that give you more than 1 option's not a bad idea. So it's not the greatest of the modules, but it's a good one. Alhambra was getting too peaceful, so the third module in Expansion 4, the Invaders, adds war. There are 4 cards that show the 4 different directions that invaders might come from: south, west, east, and north. 3 of them are shuffled because there's 3 scoring rounds, and in each scoring round, one of these cards is turned over and shows the direction that the invaders are going to come in. So you can see here in the first round, every spot that doesn't have a wall is going to lose a point. In the second round, if this card had been turned over, every spot without a wall would lose 2 points. In the third round, every spot would lose 3 points, and the other 2 walls that are adjacent to that wall would also lose a point for every tile exposed. So let's say, for example, it's the third scoring round, and the invaders are coming from the north. So we look. Here's one spot where the invaders can hit, so that I'll lose 3 points. And then on the side walls, here's a spot, here's a spot, and here's a spot. That's 3 more points. So I would lose 6 points. Now this can be mitigated because as the game progresses, there are scout cards on the table. And when you see a scout card and you're the first person to build a building of the color that matches the scout card, then you can take that scout card and you can play it when you want to look at the top card in the enemy invasion deck. Which is kind of interesting because there's only 4 of these invasion cards, and once you get to the third one, you have a 50% chance you know the direction it's coming from. So scout cards aren't as useful near the end of the game, but at the end of the game, the points that they take away are more critical. It's a neat idea. And yet, this is one of my least of the favorite of the modules because I really don't see any reasoning to having these attack, and I found that when I play with people, everyone always gets so concerned about these attacks and so worried about the attacks, and the points they take off aren't really that big of a deal. It's almost like a red herring thrown into the game. So I'm not a real big fan of it, but maybe you would be. Maybe you want more war in your game. The 4th module in expansion number 4 is the Bazaars. You can see each of these Bazaars here has 3 different colors on it, and it has a color currency in the top. When these Bazaar tiles come up and you compare them, let's say this building is in the blue, and then this Bazaar shows up, this building costs the same as this one. So this is 7. However, Bazaars can only be bought with exact change. Now, Bazaars are good for 2 reasons. One, they can expand your area. There's no walls in them, so they easily expand your Alhambra. But they score differently. Let's bring in my Alhambra here, and let's say I have a Bazaar built in the middle of it here. And I look at this Bazaar, and it's red, brown, and purple. So it's going to score points for any red, brown, and purple buildings that are adjacent to it. So these white and green ones won't count. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings that are adjacent to it that are red, green, and purple. So I'll take those 4 buildings and then multiply it times the number of colors, so 3 colors, at the end of the game in round 3, that will score me 12 points. And so that's a pretty neat thing to have. I really enjoy it because it builds your Alhambra up bigger. You can get a lot of points from them if you position them well. Again, they encourage diversity, and so this is something I really do enjoy playing with. They're neat. They're not as easy to buy because you have to use exact change. And I found that I was saving money so that I was able to buy future ones that would show up. Something interesting to add to the Alhambra game. Overall, I like the 4th expansion almost as much as I like the 3rd one. In fact, I guess it's maybe interchangeable which one I like better. There's some features of this one, the treasure chests and the Bazaars, which I really like. The war, I can take it or leave it. The Master Builder's a neat idea, but it's not great. But still, some decent ideas in this expansion, and maybe this is where they should have capped off Alhambra. Seems like there's enough, but there's still one more expansion to go, number 5. We'll look at that next time.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.